And then we're going to make sure to get the notes here in the chat. I'll let you all know ahead of time that probably have a shorter meeting, so I'll probably give you some time back in your day. But wanted to update you on what's been going on at the state level, what's been going on at the federal level. And so if you're in the notes document, we've got some news. Not unexpected news, but not like the happiest of news. So the Joint Finance Committee let us know. They are actually meeting right now, but the Joint Finance Committee here in the state of Wisconsin sent out a memo earlier this week outlining a number of things that they are removing from Governor Evers' proposed budget. And 3 of those things that are on the chopping block as of today are indeed school meals for all, so healthy school meals for all, the school breakfast reimbursement, and the school milk program. And so yeah, it's a big bummer to announce that. Even though it was healthy school meals for all was, I was hopeful that we might make some traction in getting some more conversation about it. I think deep down I knew it was going to still be a little bit of a long shot right now, but always just a real bummer when you see it actually on paper taken out. But that doesn't mean our work stops. That means our work continues. And I will say I am so very proud of the work that everyone on this call and everyone who's not on this call, but it is working on the coalition to spread the word about healthy school meals for all. I mentioned at the top of the hour that I'm sitting here in Minneapolis attending a conference. I had the opportunity to come up here with Monona Grove School District to Scratchworks, as did Caitlin from Ashwaubenon. And Scratchworks is a gathering. I didn't quite know what it was all about, but it is a gathering of school nutrition programs throughout the country that are working towards scratch cooking in schools, supporting local farmers, supporting local agriculture, supporting school nutrition professionals. And this is their second in-person gathering. They met 2 years ago down in Austin, and this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to be a part of it. But I will say, as much as getting that news of no-cost school meals being removed from the budget, we are not alone in the work that we are doing, and we have a lot of passionate folks across the state who are working to advance not only healthy school meals for all, but policies that support school nutrition professionals, that support farmers, that support our kids. And Caitlin, to put you, I'll put you on the spot a little bit. You were a speaker in the Healthy School Meals for All panel, along with Colorado, Virginia, and Minnesota. And curious if you want to share any thoughts. It was an awesome panel. I was really excited to be in the audience and hear you speaking. Any thoughts for everybody?
Sure. I would agree. It was really interesting to hear. So we had 2 states, and obviously including Wisconsin, that do not currently have free meals for their students, and then 2 states who do have it but are in a little different positions now. So I think my biggest takeaway that I learned is that once this passes, and I'm going to be confident in saying that at some point in the next few years, hopefully, it will pass in our state. But what I really learned was for those who have passed it, those 8 states, they have to continue to fight for it each year. It's not something that you get and everything's magically cured and fixed and happy. It's something that they have to keep advocating for. And I know that the group that we have here will continue to do that. So I feel pretty comfortable in the sense that they are learning the lessons that we haven't had to learn because we haven't experienced that yet. So we can take being a little bit slower to start this and hopefully use their experience to make our experience even better in our state.
Thanks so much, Caitlin. And I'm going to turn things over. We're focusing right now on the state level, and Caitlin, too. I think it was you who dropped in the chat. Really, thank you for clarifying that. So, it's the additional reimbursement for school breakfast and the additional funding for the Wisconsin School Day Milk Program that was taken out of the budget for consideration. So there still is funding there. It's just not fully funded in their current state. But now we've focused on what's happening in our state. It's been a big conference week. So, Matt, I know you were out at a conference in Washington, D.C., and want to turn things over to you to get a federal perspective of what's going on.
Yeah, it's Matt Sintra, Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin, and uh, yeah, I think that there's a lot to talk about when it comes to school meals, child nutrition, childhood hunger, and there's a lot of news about what's happening in DC. So this is our second time doing visits with Congress since March, and some of the big things that we learned, some of it is like public knowledge now. So, as we look at where, especially like the party in power, the Republicans are kind of headed and where their heads are at, during budget reconciliation, which is the one thing that Congress can do right now because they have the votes to do it. Each committee was tasked by making massive amounts of cuts to the programs that they're in control of. The House Workforce and Education, I believe I got that committee right, was in charge of cuts to school meal programs. And they chose, there was a lot of things on the table. They were talking about increasing the threshold to do free meals for all through community eligibility up to 60% ISP, which would have meant hundreds of schools in Wisconsin would have lost access to this program or would have been nearly impossible. They did not do that. There were some other things on the table too. Everything from ending broad-based categorical eligibility and making things harder for school nutrition professionals by doing additional verification of food share applications, and they didn't do any of that too. So in that particular committee, their markup had no cuts to school meals, and everyone has viewed that as a positive signal at the very least about where things are headed and not headed, at least in Washington, D.C. And then I think bigger picture, I think it's just a good sentiment of stuff to remember when we were doing our visits is there's a lot that comes out in the news. And I think a question we all have to ask ourselves is, especially when things come out of Washington, I don't know if it's as much as what comes out of Madison, is this law? So the president released his budget recently, maybe a week ago. And in that budget, there was a ton of things that would harm a lot of families and a lot of families that were working to serve with school meals. But that budget is a values document, and I don't believe a budget has been passed, a presidential budget, since maybe Bill Clinton. Um, so when that comes out, even today on CBS News, they posted a story saying that Trump budget wants to cut senior food assistance in exchange for Maha boxes. That is true. That was a proposal in the budget, but it is not law. It is something they are talking about. Could federal committees use this as like a menu to choose off of as they're doing their cuts? They could, but nothing is safe until it's safe, and nothing is cut until it's cut. I think it's important for everyone to know that at least in the state of Wisconsin, we met with seven congressional representatives, and of the seven congressional representatives of the Republicans, all of the Republicans that we met with has significantly softened their stance on cuts that will impact families since our visits in March. So in a 2-month time span, they've significantly softened their stance. A lot of members on the Committee on Agriculture were lamenting about having to own these cuts that they are obligated to have to put forward. So the timeline is up in the air too on when this stuff happens. Other congressional representatives were unsure if budget reconciliation is gonna get done, and definitely not confident at all that they're gonna meet the Speaker of the House's deadline of Memorial Day. Folks are not thinking that. And as far as the Farm Bill is concerned too, which funds a ton of the type of work that we do and nutrition programs for families and kids, that was scheduled for September, hopefully, and now people are not confident it's going to get done in this calendar year at all. I think all this goes to say is as we're working to find legislative and policy pathways to advance healthy school meals for all and advance policies that will give more kids access to school meals without having to worry about a charge, that I think it feels like the tide is shifting slightly. That doesn't mean that it's in our favor. That doesn't mean the wind is at our back, but maybe the headwinds aren't quite as strong, and maybe there might be opportunities if to be able to push something forward that can help make sure that at least in the state of Wisconsin or federally that we can continue to actually like see some policy changes for healthy school meals.
Thank you so much, Matt. I want to pause here and open it up to questions from folks who are on the call. Anyone have any questions or any thoughts? Yeah, Jill, go for it. Give you a second.
Sorry. Matt, wanted to just ask other representatives that you didn't speak to that maybe we should start leaning on.
I think what we should do, and this is a statewide call, so again, most of the work that we did, we absolutely talked about school meals, but because the House Education and Workforce Committee did not make the cuts to school meals, a lot about the things that we were talking about were about other nutrition programs, namely Food Share or SNAP. I think it's important to know that Representative Derek Van Orden, while he is, I think you can consider notorious, has been the strongest, most vocal supporter of SNAP and anti-hunger programs of all Republicans in the House right now. He blew up a meeting on Friday where they were trying to shift massive hundreds of millions of dollars of the cost of operating SNAP onto states. And he basically single-handedly killed that after talking to our own Joint Committee on Finance Chair Howard Markline. He has also been the only person that he's holding the line and making sure that the SNAP benefit actually doesn't go down. Like he's been out there, he's been doing it. He did this again this past Tuesday morning too. I think it's important to know where to direct our energy. And I think it's important, even if someone is bad on a lot of other issues, of finding ways to make sure that if a Republican is standing up for our issue, that we acknowledge that and make sure that they get that support that they need. I think it's also important for the Democratic members to make sure that they know that one, we've got their back for supporting school meals, for supporting increased funding, for supporting everything from making sure that kids can get a free school meal so that nutrition professionals don't have to have a bigger financial burden. So Representative Gwen Moore, Representative Mark Pocan, I think telling stories that show the implications of what could happen if cuts come, and then telling stories about the value of the work that they're doing and knowing that they have our back on this issue, I think is really important. And Senator Baldwin as well. I think Senator Baldwin, like letting her know that we have her, we're thankful for having champions on this issue. But I think it's important to know that Representative Derek Van Orden on the House Committee on Agriculture has been a stalwart champion of SNAP. And one of the things that he talked about, he said, like, I know that people out there probably don't like my stances on a lot of issues, but can help make sure that people know where I stand on this issue. And I said, yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Selena, go for it.
Yeah, I I actually was at FRAC in DC with Matt as well, and had some time with Matt and Hunger Task Force to meet with Congressman Tony Weed, who has been notoriously difficult to communicate with, and his staffer was very well versed on ag in general, and I think the key to that meeting was me being able to share my story as someone who used SNAP, used other nutrition programs, free and reduced lunch for my daughter, and to really paint like a bigger picture of the impact that reductions to federal nutrition programs would have, the ripple effect, basically. And she was very receptive and thankful for sharing that type of information with her. I'm hopeful that when they are in district in July, that we will be able to set up some opportunities for them to see what the impact could be across our food system in general if any cuts are made. So it may be a really good opportunity to inform them about, you know, the importance of healthy school meals going forward.
I
Yeah,
want
it
to
was.
piggyback on something that Selena said real quick. Oh, that's great, Caitlin. That Representative Weed's coming to us probably on the end of the month. That's amazing. Um, is so that was the thing I was going to suggest is like the thing that I've learned in the past couple months is how much both parties, Republicans and Democrats, want real conversation about these issues and are asking for it. And I know sometimes it's scary to pick up the phone and call and just like tell a story, but they would love a tour. Members of Congress. I haven't done a lot of outreach for tours for state representatives, but I do think like that it's a huge thing is to look at your time and like pick 5 minutes out of your day and to just tell a story to someone on Joint Committee on Finance, tell a story to someone in Education Committee, tell a story to your member of Congress about the implications of what cuts would mean to you, or and to ask a question. So those are the other things Selena and I did too, is we didn't just speak at them. We asked questions of, so where do you stand on this? What are your thoughts? And that's when the real stuff came out and they started just like um, really opening up about their thoughts about where things are. So treat it like a real conversation. I think it can do a lot of good for our issue.
Really great questions, really great conversation. And Caitlin, awesome. Awesome to be hosting a rep. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
I have a question, Matt, in terms of the committee talking about the CEP program, so is that basically off the table at this point to increase that percentage?
It is off the table at this point to increase that percentage.
Great news, thank you.
So I mean, they could find a way to include it somewhere else, but I don't think so. Like it's so. Can I say another thing just to like really drive it home? When we started talking to folks about this, and then I asked FRAC, their lobbyists, about those conversations, and they said that they were getting shrugs and head shakes from them, to saying like we were never really considering it. One congressional representative said, you know, there was an idea that was put forth, but you know, it's not moving forward.
I do think it is important to note though, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that while they're not changing the threshold at this time, it is getting more and more difficult for people to qualify for SNAP, or it may be getting more and more difficult for people to qualify for SNAP, which will likely bring your ISP down. So you might not be as eligible as you used to be in past years.
Yeah, cuts to SNAP, making it more difficult to qualify for SNAP. So the things that they want to do, they're again, May 12th, sorry, May 12th is the big day to look for now. That's when House of Agriculture is targeting to release their markup. It's going to be the worst case scenario, and it's going to include things like work requirements for people up to the age of 64 have to work 80 hours a month, or they're going to lose their benefits after 3 months. It's going to be at least one parent in the household, even if you have kids, school-age kids, has to work 80 hours a month, or you're going to lose your benefits after 3 months. These are the type of things that they're going to put forth. That doesn't mean it's law yet, but those are the type of things. And something that we explain to people is every time that someone falls off a SNAP, even if you're not cutting the benefit, if you make it harder for people to access the program, they're going to drop off. And those are people that don't get school meals, that they don't, there's a ton of other implications for nutrition for these kids.
Thank you, Matt. Other questions, other thoughts? Hearing silence at this time, we'll keep moving on. And I just wanted to circle back too to the importance of reaching out to your representatives. And I will say, you know, my representatives where I live in Madison are in favor of these of school nutrition programs and the policies that have been included in Governor Evers' budget, but still important to reach out and chat with them. And I'll tell you from my personal experience, I just sent an email over to him. I included both of them. I said, you know, this is where I live in your district. I want to set up a meeting. And the first question back to me was, well, what do you want to talk about? Because I didn't include it. And I'll tell you, it gave me pause at a moment. It was like, well, I'm one of your constituents. I just want to come talk. But I'm realizing, they want to, they just want to know. I want to come in and talk about school meals, local foods, and a few other topics. So I'm just telling that story to be, I feel like I'm in and out of this work every single day as part of my job. But important, if you have those representatives who are in favor, as Matt said, let them know that we appreciate their work. Let them know who you are and that you're in support of it. And so don't be afraid if you get that question back on, well, what do you want to talk about? Or maybe just include it in your initial email of what you want to talk about. So I will keep you all posted once I get that meeting officially set up, and if I have any other tips or tricks. But encouraging everyone to take that step and reach out. And with that, there have been so many of you on this call that have done amazing work and have taken that step, have taken many steps. And so as much as these last couple of meetings, there's been thoughts about cuts, and there's been thoughts about or there's been actual cuts being made, like in our the proposed state budget. Really want to highlight the work of all of you. And in the notes, I just pulled a few clips of different folks who have spoken. But just looking at the screen right now, Mike, you did an awesome job up in Kakana talking with Joint Finance. Jason, you did as well over in Wausau. Anita, you have been just an amazing advocate. You were chatting down in West Allis, and we'll soon have these up on our Healthy School Meals for All website. But Anita was one of 4 individuals who did sound clips. Hewan is a student at UW, a journalism student at UW, and reached out to the coalition because she had a community project that she was tasked with for a class. And she said, this is a really important topic to me, and I'd love to be able to help out the Healthy School Meals for All movement in any way that I can. My background is journalism, and specifically in audio journalism. And so we were excited to see what came of the project. And so what we did is we introduced her to a few different coalition members, Anita being one. We also had conversations with Maggie Smith, who's the school board member up in Holman, Wisconsin, Caitlin Harrison, school nutrition director over in Elmbrook. And then I think I saw him pop on for just a moment. Oh, there he still is, Jordan Anderson, up in Marshfield area of Wisconsin. And all 4 interviews are just absolutely fantastic. So just want to thank you all for taking the time to do that. And especially thank you to Hewan for pulling those together. So we've got the audio clips. We'll make sure we get them up on the website, and we will share them out with you all once those are public. So know that we are so grateful for the work that everyone is doing. And even though we've had some setbacks and we have some things that, likely going to still face some up and down times in the next few months and next few years, we're going to keep moving forward. Anita, I saw you come off mute. Is there something you want to share?
No, I just really added a question. I don't know if it sounds stupid or not, but when we're talking about all these budget cuts and all that, and a lot of parents was wondering about the summer meal program, because as you remember, last year they gave that $125, but I wonder, is that a part of that cut that they're cutting?
Caitlin or Stacy, do you want to take that?
So my understanding is that that program is still in place
Okay.
for the summer. So I know we posted something about it, and we got word from DPI that that will continue this summer. So hopefully that will help.
Thank you.
I had something to add on that.
Go for it, Emily.
Emily, I was on a webinar last week, 2 of them actually, with DPI, and I had asked specifically, do we already have the summer EBT money? Because it was like about all this work that we were going to have to do to provide that information. And they forgot her name at DHS said that the money has already been received at the state level. So I felt confident in doing the work and that it wouldn't be a waste. But that was reassuring to me, and I'm sure many others, that we already have that money here in Wisconsin. So the kids will be able to get that money that do qualify for that.
Thank you so much, Emily, for that update. Want to take a moment. Any other updates from folks on the call right now that they wish to share with the coalition? Things that are happening in their area, things that they would like to see the coalition be working on? Okay, hearing silence. I'm gonna take that as a no for right now. But that's what we have for today for the coalition meeting. So some good news, some less than good news. We're going to keep going forward. We're going to meet again in June, and we'll take July off, but we'll meet again in June for those that can hop on, and we'll give an update of where things are at that time. But very appreciative of you all hopping on here today. Know you can reach out with any questions, comments, concerns. We are here for you and to support the work that you all are doing for this coalition. Thank you so much.